tons of people now launch communities. There's all kinds of stuff, right? And trying to capture attention of these big behemoths like Target or Nordstrom's. Was it the brand you built? Was it your relationships? Was it like what? There are all of these communities. What was it that got their attention and got them to choose you? It might have been that you were the only one at that time, but I'm just thinking about all of the listeners who are building these communities and desperately want to do what you did. What do you think attributed to it?
I don't want to say it was me. It wasn't me, but it was the fact that like me and my team showed up authentically. And I know authentic is such an overused word right now, but we literally showed up as ourselves from day one.
Yep.
Talking about all the crap that comes with pregnancy, very honestly.
Yep.
We put our faces on things and we had a connection with our community. There would be people who would come to events just to meet me. And it was so flattering. And they felt like they knew me. And like, and it was amazing. They would be like, oh my God, I would be stopped on the street. They'd be like, oh my God, I read your blog post about gestational diabetes. Me too. And like, you know, I mean, like I was really open and honest, and there were other people in the space. At the time were like, I had one very main competitor who I actually became friends with. I had dinner with her just a month ago when I was in New York. Funny enough, it's so crazy. But I had a very big competitor, and I would say they also sold, funny enough, but their business was a little bit different. Like you saw them, but you didn't see them because they didn't talk about their experiences as moms and what they went through. They were a different kind of face of their brand, and it was different.
Okay, so this is really important because your business was built as much upon you as it was the business itself, which typically can be a threat to a sale of a business. And yet, along comes some interest from acquirers, including brand connections. So talk to me a little bit. Now we're where, 2019, 18?
They came to me in 2018.
2018. Okay. Talk to me about when you start to, you form these key partnerships, which people want, right? They want Target or they want Nordstrom or they want any of these things, and you start getting some interest. And now this starts to get real, this idea of selling. Had you ever thought about selling before? Like when you started it, did you think I'm going to grow this and sell it, or were you just doing it to do it?
No. So I did think about selling it. And actually it's funny because when they came to me in 2018, I had recently hired like a fractional CFO, and I had said to her, I really want to get this business into a place where we can sell it or do something with it. Yep. Like I said, my goal is when I turn 40, I want to have something done with this business. I'm not going to be a mom of young kids forever, and I don't need to be hawking strollers. So like, right. You know, I mean, I was one of these people who knew everything about every piece of baby gear, but it would be weird at 40 to 45 to be talking about things I was no longer using. And I realized this was a life stage business for me. I had people say, oh, maybe you should get you should fundraise. But I was like, what am I going to do with that? Like, I don't have tangible costs. Like, yes, I can hire people, but like, it was like a weird, like I didn't.
It was really you. It was you, and you know the part-time moms that you hired to help bring.
I did have full-time employees. I did have 8 of them at the time.
Fabulous.
Yeah,
but it was primarily it's your vision. You have no. At the end of the day, what you were selling was a services-based business, right?
Correct.
So you decide you're not going to fundraise. You're going to build it to sell it, and what happens?
So we were in the process of starting to like get started, and I had 3 entities reach out to me on LinkedIn, which is actually crazy because there are so many times that even today, like I go into my LinkedIn and I'm like, what is this? You know what I mean? And I'm like, now I know better because I do respond. But I thought the woman who reached out to me from Brand Connections, I thought I knew her. And I wrote back and said, sure, like I'll get on the phone with you. And I got on the phone with them. It was a different woman who I got on the phone with. And it was very evident they were interested in my relationship with Target. Brand Connections did a lot with Target in the beauty space, and they wanted to get into the baby space, and they couldn't because Target was like, well, we have a partner, a trusted partner in the baby space, and that was a big thing. Like, you can't just go into baby and be like, we're going to have events and people are going to come. Moms need to have that connection with the entity to show up. They're not going to show up because it's Target.
Yep.
Target knows nothing about baby. You know what I mean? In theory, they're not experts. So that's why they had reached out to me. And at the end of this initial conversation, she said to me, well, would you ever sell your company? And I was like, yes, I would. And so that really put like the ball in motion. But meanwhile, I was also reached out to by Some Spider. Some Spider is the acquirer of Scary Mommy. And I have interviewed Jill Smokler on my podcast. I have become friends with her. But in the due diligence before I even went there, because I had a flight book to go there, they very much wanted an acquihire, and they wanted to hire me and dissolve my brand and have me build what I built for Bump Club for Scary Mommy. And I had no interest in that. Like, my brand had a lot of equity. I had no interest in that. And so
especially, well, you knew that it was a life stage business, which is what you said. So like, why would you continue? That doesn't fit strategically for you. But you are now a strategic acquisition because Brand Connections can't get in with Target without getting in with Bump Club. So that makes you inherently more valuable.
In the baby space. They were already in the beauty space, but in the baby space, they knew that we would be an in for them. And so that was really what catapulted the conversation. And so it actually was kind of fast. We closed on the sale January 1st, 2019, like on New Year's Day. And then my company rolled into Brand Connections. And so, there was a lot of due diligence. I went out there. I think I only went out there once. They might have come to me once, but I went out there one time. And my team didn't know. Like, I didn't tell them until they needed to know. And that was how the sale went down.
When they're valuing you, and I know we're not going to talk about the sale price today, but they're valuing you, are they looking at revenue? Are they looking at EBITDA? You're over $1 million now. You're at like 1.17, right? Something like this when you sell?
Yeah.
Okay. So how are they approaching the valuation? And did it jive? Did you feel happy when they first presented you with the offer?
So they actually looked at both revenue and EBITDA, to be honest. So they valued my brand in a multiple of 3.5 time multiple that they valued my brand. But when they structured my deal, my earnout was based on the EBITDA and the growth of the EBITDA. Does that make sense?
Yes. So you had to get 3x off of revenue. Then you get a certain amount up front, and the rest you have to earn off of maintaining revenue growth and margin, right?
Correct.
So I would imagine that the entire number of the potential of what you could get felt very alluring.
It did. But it also, like, we definitely negotiated. There were definitely negotiations. It wasn't like I just took what it was. The way that they described it to me when we were selling was they were like, we're going to give you rocket fuel to build your business, and we're going to let you maintain and manage your brand. And we just want to help you, like, make this explode. And I gave them a whole plan of, like, this is what needs to happen in order to continue to scale and grow this business. And a big part of that, a huge part of that, was a plan to not phase me out, but sort of. Like, phase me out as the face and bring in multiple moms to be the face of Bump Club. All different backgrounds, socioeconomic backgrounds, religions, races, etc. Yep. And so, that was a very big part of it. So that's kind of how it went down.